gentlemen,
Whoa,
welcome
hello.
back.
Let's not have me talking over myself, please. Thank you. Let's try that again before I have two of me in the same room. Welcome back to Science Saturdays, everybody. My name is Hazy Axel, also known as Alex. I'm tech support for Out of the Park Developments, and today we're expecting to do kind of more of a workshop. This is gonna be not an alternative class, but this is gonna be an optional work through class, kind of like a workshop class for people to be able to kind of get a good little test time for league creation and all the different types that you can create in OOTP. So it's not exactly going to be as much instructional and much more creational today in terms of what we're going to be able to do. Oh no! Yeah, always have the autosave on and happening as often as you possibly can stomach it to be going, because yeah, if you don't have that autosave on earlier than once a year and you run into a crash, you have to load up whatever the last autosave was to restore the league, and if that is a year ago, that would be going back a long time. Are we going to make a CPBL league? I actually don't know what that is, Big C James. Can you explain what CPBL means? Because the answer might be yes. We might be making something akin to almost any type of league that's out there right now. We'll see. We'll see what exactly we have to we're going to run through for today's stream. So we're gonna kind of hold today more as the Chinese Professional Baseball League. I don't think we're gonna make a Chinese Professional Baseball League per se. I wasn't expecting to make any technically real life leagues. We're going to kind of show off different sizes, shapes, and styles of leagues. Oh, the only current baseball going on. That actually would be a really cool thing to do. The problem is I don't know if we would want to just make the structure of the league, or if you would actually make the full-on players and everything else. That would take a lot of time to make all the players and get their ratings and everything else. That could actually be a little tough to do. But I don't know if the KBO is playing right now. I rock this. I don't think they are. I think it's just the Chinese Professional Baseball League right now. I think they're the only people that are actually like legitimately playing professional baseball at the moment, albeit with empty stadiums, if my memory is correct about that. I don't think they have any fans. They're about to. Okay, cool. So we're about to see the KBO restart as well, so that'll be nice. But yeah, welcome everybody to, this is going to be episode 5, also known as League Creation 102. We're going to be talking about shapes, sizes, and styles of leagues. We kind of talked about that last week a little bit, but we're actually going to do hands-on tutorial work today and a workshop. So technically this class is optional. So any of you who took 101 and are now, stuck here with me in 102, this is optional. You are always allowed to leave at the first moment of, oh, this isn't for me, I'm looking for something else. So please don't feel free to leave the classroom if you don't like it. But I wanted to be able to have a quick episode, probably just an hour today, talking about how to create a whole bunch of different types of leagues. We'll actually make them live on stream, and then we should be able to maybe create the bare bones of our example league that we will be using for the remainder of these classes to show off how best to handle league creation and what that means for you as a fictional league creator or even a non-fictional league creator, what exactly that means. So I think we're going to get started. Let me get up to... Here we go. And I don't believe I have notifications turned on this time. So I don't think we'll get a whole bunch of stuff happening in the background this time around. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started, shall we? I've already loaded up the large league I had last time. And I thought it would be a good idea to kind of just share some of the stuff that we're going to try to make with this stream today. So if you guys are okay with that, I will walk through kind of some of the stuff that we're going to be looking at doing, and then we will jump right into it. So if you have your textbooks, open them to page, this is going to be 56, and nobody has textbooks. I thought I had made a deal. I made a deal with a company. They promised me textbooks, and what do I get? Not even a virtual textbook. All right, never mind. We'll do it from scratch. All right. So this is a custom league I've made before. Yes, that was a joke. Just go with it. We're gonna have a couple different types of league that we're gonna create in terms of major leagues. We might make some international leagues to do some filler stuff. We'll probably make a college system, some kind of a feeder league system. Those will all be really quickly done today, just to be able to show what it would look like and what you can do with league creation. And then we'll probably do a couple of the more advanced things, like maybe an association and maybe some World Baseball tournaments, as well as potentially a fall league of some kind. So we'll see if we can get through all of that in about an hour, I would say. We'll see how much we can test and run through and just show off how to create and kind of what you're going to be looking for. I'm excited every league I make falls apart. Yeah, there's a very easy way to have your league fall apart, depending upon exactly how you make it and the settings that you put into it. So, Musha, I'm glad you're here. This should hopefully be the beginning stages of the instructional part of our league creation series, being able to understand how to create a league, troubleshoot it, and be able to save your progress along the way so you know exactly what you did along the progression chart of your setup. So, let's get started, shall we? Let's head back to the main menu, and we'll get started with something new. So, again, last week we talked a lot about planning and kind of figuring out how big your league needs to be. We talked a little bit about, oh, hello, we got some menus still on the screen. There we go, thank you. We talked about making sure that you understand the differences between having everything in your game, but then also being able to simulate time in your game, because as you add more items and leagues and players and any kind of feature into your league, if you make it more and more advanced and technical, the slower and slower your league is going to go. So we don't want to get to the point where your league is actually too slow. Mic's a bit low. Hold on. Try that instead. Is that better? I bumped it up a little bit, so hopefully that's a little bit better for everybody at this point. But yeah, we talked a little bit last week about how to make your league go quicker and simulate quicker, because you don't want to have a league that you create and then it's just so slow it's just not possible to simulate. And that's the worst part, is when you make a really nice large league. Like I made the United States Baseball League, which is technically the World Baseball League, but it simulates about a year in, I would say, an hour. It takes an hour to simulate an entire year of that game, because it takes about 60 seconds for it to do a day. No, it's faster than that. A full day of baseball, with everybody playing, it takes about 30 to 60 seconds, depending upon the size of the day. But it takes too long, is basically the answer. The answer is it takes too long. So you don't want to make a league. You don't want to come into your fictional world of OTP. You're ready to start building your own stuff, and then you build this massive, glorious league with all these different nice things into it, and then you try to play it as an actual GM or an actual manager, and it's just not playable. It just isn't playable at all, because it won't simulate fast enough, and you're stuck waiting minutes for it to just go through a week or even a day. So we want to make sure, and we talked a lot about that last week, that you keep the league as simplified as possible. We talked about ways you can do that in the league settings and also in the game settings. There are many different ways you can speed up your game by selecting what is and isn't saved, and that's a great way to be able to kind of pinpoint how much you actually want the league to record, and that saves so much time and energy, and it increases your speed. So it's a good option to be able to run through if you're doing that. So let's jump into a couple different ways we can make leagues and what we can do. There is a legit strategy to starting small. You can do that. The issue is that there's no way to kind of plan expansions in the game unless you do a historical start. But then at that point, you're only going to hit MLB levels of expansions, because it's going to do exactly what the MLB did. in terms of expansions if it's a historical start and has historical expansions. So unfortunately, it's not reliable to start a league from small and then try to see how big it can get. It could take hundreds of years for it to get to the size that you're looking for it to become. And even then, it may never get to the size you want to, because there isn't any league evolution in terms of adding a brand new league. The game's not going to add leagues, it's going to add teams. So you have to go in and do your own custom work if you're going to add multiple leagues to your save. If you just want to add teams, yes, evolution is just fine. The evolution process in OOTP is fairly decent. I know TJ on his White Sox series literally just finished his first year and had an expansion. And which kind of makes sense because MLB is close to expanding right now. But I'm not expecting them to expand in 2021. So there's some realism to it and some fictional working involved with that. So I don't know how quickly you'll get expansions, so you just can't trust that. So if you have an idea of what you want the league to look like, go for it, or at least get close to that. If you want to let the league expand, maybe hit like just below what you're trying to accomplish. If you don't want it to expand at all, if you want to just set it up the way you want it to, just turn the evolution side of the entire league off. Just turn that off, and you'll be pretty good to be able to do that. The Detroit Trains. There's an entire list of nicknames you can pick that the game picks from. I don't remember if there are some that are categorized for certain teams in particular, but you can edit those nickname lists for teams to select if you want to. I rock this. We'll probably talk about that later down the road when we talk about player name lists. We'll talk about team name lists and cities and other database stuff that most users will never touch. But I want to at least explain how it works. So that's probably going to be a later course, probably in the 200 or 300 class range. So we'll probably have 102, 103, 104, 105, and then probably go into like 201, 202, 203. It's college classes. We're making a joke that these are kind of like college classes. So we'll probably get to that in the second or third year of classes. And I say years with quotation marks. It won't be a year before we get to that. We're going to be moving much quicker through these classes than you guys realize. But I don't think we'll be getting to that for a little bit of time. But we will get to that eventually in terms of team nicknames, how to be able to allow the game to find better nicknames and then bring those into the game automatically instead of you having to enter those in yourself. So, yeah. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions at all, please feel free to ask those questions in the chat here on Twitch. If you've got questions and you're watching this as a VOD on YouTube as well, please feel free to ask those questions in the YouTube comments down below. I always try to review every single video that I'm a part of on the YouTube systems, just so that way if people have direct questions to me or direct questions about the game, we can get those answered for you guys. We're more than happy to be able to do that. That's literally my job, is to answer questions all day about the game and troubleshoot stuff. So I get paid for this, so it's kind of nice. Not for this stream in particular, but, hey, that's my job. All right, so let's get started, shall we? We've talked a lot about some stuff. We haven't made any progress at all, so let's make some progress. This feels like an actual legitimate college class now. 30-minute introduction, and then 15 minutes of workshop, and then 5 minutes of here's your take-home homework. Go to work. So, the best way to be able to make your own game for new players is to do new standard games. If you want to get into some of the more nit-gritty stuff, which is what we're going to be able to do here, is we're going to do new custom games, all right? So we're going to do some custom stuff and be able to show off how to create some leagues. So we're going to make some leagues real fast. Let's make some stuff. So we're going to do some fictional leagues. So let's start off, and again, this is where if you actually had a plan behind what you're doing, this is where you'd be able to be making each piece of your master plan. You can either do it piece by piece, or you can do it all at once. However, I'm going to show you guys how to do it piece by piece, because that gives you much faster speed, a little more control, and in the end, it's not going to really cost you any time. It's not going to make it slower, per se. And it also gets us to show off the template system. Instead of being forced to do all this massive work in one window, we can do each piece individually and be able to composite it all together at the end. So let's start off. Let's start off by making a North American league. And the question is going to come down to, do we want to have Mexico and Canada involved? And I say yes. I say yes, we do. So we're basically going to make kind of a dwarf. No, I shouldn't say that. We're going to make a smaller version. My apologies. We're going to make a smaller version of the massive league that I made. Probably about half the size. Just to be able to show off what the game can do and how I created that whole entire World Baseball League and what I did to make that happen. Now, we also want to make sure that we have every single feature of the game in our test example, because we're going to have everything happening at once. So we need promotions and relegations as well. So most likely what we're going to do is we're going to make 2 leagues right off the bat. One of them is going to be our top tier league, which is going to be, most likely than not, we're probably going to have, it's going to be 1 sub-league of 8 teams in 1 division. And that's going to be, hopefully, well, we'll start it off with 4 American teams, 2 Mexican teams, and 2 Canadian teams. How does that sound? Because then what we're going to do is we're going to have a second league that is double that size, that doubles the amount of teams for all of those, and that will be our feeder / sub league that basically will promote and relegate between the 2. So that sounds pretty good? All right. Just in case anyone has any questions, I want to make sure everyone's able to answer questions at this point as well. We're going to take away the short season A. We're going to take away the rookie league. This will save us a whole bunch of kiddos who don't have to be signed. In fact, technically, most of the time I get rid of AAA. Because at this point, AA and single A are probably going to be just fine. But for this one, we'll go a little bit bigger. We'll go AAA, AA, and single A. I don't even think that there's a minor league in my World Baseball League, but we're going smaller, so we'll do minor leagues instead to make up for the smaller side of the league. Now, we need to do some region selecting. So this is where you're going to start getting into some of the really good league creation tips and tricks. So here's how we're going to do this. If you want to select certain regions of the world, you can. Now, there are auto regions. You can roll with just the roster reserve. The issue is that you have to get rid of your minor leagues, all of them. If the league has any sort of minor league involved, the reserve roster gets removed, and instead it turns into a 40-man roster for your minor leagues to be able to utilize. So if you want to have a reserve roster, you can't have minors. At least that's what I've understood. I've never been able to see a reserve roster with minor leagues involved, although I have a ticket about that from somebody, I think, so I have to look at that still. I'm still trying to get his files, though, so we'll see if I can get those files and take a look at it. But he has a reserve roster issue, and I don't know if he has minor leagues involved or not, so I gotta take a look at that. Is having a reserve roster limit a good idea, or should it be left open? So if you leave it open, I know I've got somebody who has a ticket into our system right now who has, in fact, I think that's the same guy. He has too many people on his reserve rosters, and it's airing. It won't let him advance the days because the reserve rosters are full, and in fact, they're overcrowded. He needs to get rid of people, and the teams aren't managing it correctly, so I need to look into that myself. But if you have a reserve roster limit, that will basically keep the amount of players in check that are playing, which is good. You don't want to have it unlimited, because then, I mean, while it's okay to have it unlimited, because if you have, a limitation to that, sometimes you can run out of players. And if it's unlimited, then you don't have to worry about there being a whole bunch of free agents involved. Having a reserve roster limit is generally a good idea, because it means that you can manage how many players each organization has. You know exactly how many players are on their active, you know how many players are on their reserve, and then you can manage your feeder leagues better when you don't have a wide open, unlimited minor league system. When you have teams with a rookie system, and it's just unlimited active roster size. You could have 200 kids on that, on that minor league team for a rookie league at least, and 200, kids is just too many. They've been drafting for years. There's a lot of quality, but no one's getting the time to play. So managing how many feeders you have is important. Knowing how many kids are going to be on the active rosters, the reserve rosters, or the minor leagues is important, because if you leave those to be unlimited, then the league is just going to fill and fill and fill and fill, and it might become just too much. If you have too many feeders, it would overflow. It'll flow into the free agency system. The reserve rosters and the minor leagues become too full. So exactly, Magus, capping the minor league rosters is a great idea, because then it actually forces teams to pick the best minor leaguers they can. Suddenly now the minor leagues have actually good quality, instead of there being maybe, a couple good players and then a bunch of filler team players. There's more emphasis on making there be good competition in the minor leagues versus just, I think Joe can play baseball. I've seen him throw a ball. Let's put him in rookie system and see if he can play well. Oh, 2 years later he didn't do that well. Well, we can just release him anyways. He didn't do good. Joe never gets a chance in a restricted roster because they value every single spot available on that roster. Unless Joe is the last player alive who's playing baseball, which at that point, poor Joe. And no, that's not Connor Joe. Connor Joe is much better than that, all right? I'm thinking of doing that in my ongoing save, which has added promotion and relegation between MLB and an MLB2. That is actually exactly what we're doing, Gamba. We're going to make an MLB and an MLB2, but we're going to have Mexico and Canada involved in it. So let's go back to that question real fast and how to do that. So for people that are wanting to know how to be able to do some of these interesting leagues where you have different international nations involved, but you don't, set them up purposefully yourself, which you can do. We could go, my apologies, bumped the microphone like an idiot. We could go straight into here to the nation section and just literally pick Canada. We could just do that. We could go Canada, Mexico, and Mexico. And there's our situation. Then you just simply randomize the cities, and boom. There's your two Canadian teams, Edmonton, the Hot Rods, and the Surrey Conquistadors. I would never pick Conquistadors personally. That's a terrible team name. At least it wasn't a Mexican team that was named that. Hard enough to go with the Leon Swingers and the Monterey Jethawks. Jethawks are pretty cool, actually. I can do that. The Surrey Captains. Okay, I could go for that. And I'll get to your question here in just a second, DA. I just want to make sure I get this off before I stop again. Edmonton Colonels, but then Chicago, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, and Houston would be the first 4 teams. Now, there is a better way to be able to do this. There is a better way to be able to do that. Because if you're going to do, let's say we're going to do all of Europe. The Houston Scarecrows. I didn't even notice that. Oh, my gosh. And the Los Angeles Peach Kings. At least it's not the Peach Queens. Kardashians would have copyrighted that and sued us. Anywho, there is a way you should be able to go into your region selection, and there should be, because I've done this before, you want to do, we want US, Canada, and Mexico. So you can do the Americas, all right? So this is a way you can do all of that work I just did by scratch. You can have it done by the game instead. So you can select the Americas as your region, and you can see it goes ahead and makes another team turn into Mexico. So now we have the Guadalajara Captains, which is kind of cool too. We still have the Scarecrows, although now it's Philadelphia. I don't know why we have the Philadelphia Scarecrows. So we got rid of Los Angeles for this one. But you can see, if you select a region, you can actually have the game select the nations for you. Now, you may still need to go through and do some work, because as you can see, boom, now Mexico's gone. Even though we're based out of Mexico, now Canada's gone. So sometimes you do need to have hands-on approach work to make sure that it balances out the nations, okay? Because what the game is doing is it's looking at the population of the nations, and it's basing that off of what it would normally do for a scattering of cities. So you can see we'll have Montreal, Toronto, Mexico City, Philadelphia, or no, sorry, we lost Philadelphia now this time. Brooklyn, New York. We have 2 basically that are New York. So yeah, Chicago, Los Angeles, and Phoenix are here. So the game will try to take big cities for the biggest nations that you've got, and it will randomize them a little bit, but most of the time you'll see a lot of USA if you do the Americas. If you do something like, if you do baseball quality 1+ nations, you're going to get a lot of Chinese, you're going to get a lot of Russia, you're going to get a lot of Brazil because of their populations. All right? Try to make an all-Canadian league. If you want to do Canadian league, you should do just Canada, which I don't remember if there's actually one that's just Canada, now that I'm thinking about that. Is there an actual region for just Canada? I don't think there is. That seems kind of silly. Yeah, that's a little silly. Now that I'm looking at that. Yeah, there should be one that's just Canada. If you're trying to do just a Canadian league, actually, I'm sorry, Musha, there's a much better way to be able to do that. My apologies. If you want it to be just Canada, just take off the region. So we'll go back up here and we'll say no region specified, and then change the selected nation to Canada. So you can go boom, boom, and it's just Canada. So that's the best way to be able to do one nation. If you want to have it be just one particular nation, if you just want to make the Canadian Baseball League, you can just select Canada, and that's how you'll get that. But if you want to have multiple nations involved, you're going to have to get a little creative. Use the regions. Try to find one that fits your approach. I've used Western Europe and then Eastern Europe a couple times. I've done a couple that are... you can technically do every single nation involved, but then you're getting a whole bunch of weird stuff, and it's just kind of like, okay, it's based out of Lithuania. Okay, cool. It would be intercontinental. It would be very cool. It would be very diverse, and it would be kind of cool, but maybe not what we're looking for. But you could even do something as specified as the Rocky Mountains, which would be, Idaho, Colorado, Wyoming, Montana. So you've got, you got Boise, Fort Collins, Denver, Pueblo, Sioux Falls, Salt Lake City. So you can go as minute in detail as you want for America, for the United States. Or you can do something like, which we did earlier, which was, of course, United States, Canada, and Mexico. So you can either select a nation and then have no region selected because it's optional. Or you can do a region, which is what we're going to do right now. We're going to select a region. I want to have there be 2 Canadian teams, 2 Mexican teams, there we go, and 4 American teams. And we're going to change these real fast. Oh, the blank one. Wow. Let's see. So we've got the... No, I don't want the Conquistadors. Wildcats. Boomers? Oh, good grief. We had the Abbotts for a second there. I needed to do Costellos. That would have been the alternative. The New York Scots. Aye, Scots are here. We are here for your gold. I'm just kidding. I'm Scottish, so I can do that, all right? Somewhere down my family lineage, we know we're from Scotland or Ireland. One of the two. Or Wales. One of those. Anywho, we need a new name for... I need Mexico City involved, though. Yes, the Norse in Mexico did not exactly sound that great. So, yes. Oh, that question. I so totally forgot about that. The Nova Scotia Scots would work. That would actually be pretty cool. This might be a question for a later date, but how would you transition from just a reserve list to some minors? Well, what should happen, DA, is when you add minor leagues to a major league, the reserve roster gets canceled. That's normally how I would have assumed the game would handle that. So when you add minor leagues to a major league, the reserve roster option should be removed, and the major league team should be forced to send their players to the minors instead of to their reserve. If you do have a reserve option, let me know, because I'll look into that. The Mexico City teams we're looking for at this point. So I need a Mexico City name. We can call them the tamales or the chimichangas. No, that's an American kind of a thing. The enchiladas would be cool. I mean, sorry, I'm in a food mode because I haven't eaten lunch yet, and I'm hungry. So unfortunately, you guys are stuck with Hungry Alex, which is not good. Golden Gophers. Oh my gosh, what would we like to replace for the Golden Gophers? Are we talking about like I like the Legion. Houston Legion is really cool. The Phoenix Nuggets are probably not that good. The Luchadors. I could call them the Lunchadors. They disappeared. Were they added to the free agency by any chance? That's weird. I'd have to look into that, DA. I'm gonna have to do some investigation into that because I would have expected that the game would have slid all those players into the minors instead of just disappearing them. Flying Burritos. I like that. I will take the Mexican City Flying Burritos. That is a long name, but it'll work just fine. I need a new name for Phoenix. And probably Brooklyn. At this point, I don't like any of those two names at this point. The New York Scots are okay. The Toronto Steamrollers are fine. Montreal Red Claws. I think they've got a pretty good logo. The Volts. Scorpions are always the best option for Phoenix. We'll do the Brooklyn Volts and the Phoenix Scorpions. That sounds great. This is more like a class, folks. We're going to take the first recommendations that people like. The Saharas. Ooh. You know what? I'll actually use that because that's actually pretty good. The Brooklyn Empires, I think I've used that before, Magus. That's a great one. Even like the Skyscrapers is a great one for New York. That's great. The players were still there. Yeah, I would assume, DA, that they're still on the organization's list. They might have been designated for assignment. Because they're technically part of a major league roster, they need to be designated for assignment, and the teams would have to either waive them or drop them down to AAA. So it might be that they all got designated for assignment. If you check their transactions log, did it show them as being like designated for assignment at all, or did it just drop them? Because I'd love to know what the game is trying to do. I'll investigate that later on my own. Try to see if I can figure out what's going on when you add minor leagues to a reserve roster, just to see what it's trying to do at that point. Either who, I think we're good to go, guys. Any objections to these Canada names? The Red Claws are a little off, in my opinion, but that's okay. And then the Steamrollers, I don't know. In fact, let's do it differently. Let's do it the Maple Leaves. Is that all one word, Maple Leaves, or is that two? Hold on, I gotta look at this real fast. 2 words, I believe. 2 words, Maple Leaves. All right, cool beans. So we'll do the Maple Leaves in Toronto. We'll do the Red Claws in Montreal. Didn't know we were an FHM save. We'll do the Scots in New York. We'll do the Volts in Brooklyn. We'll do the Saharas in Phoenix, which is cool. We'll do the Houston Legion, which I think is just so cool at this point. The Guadalajara Red Dragons and the Mexico City Flying Burritos. Which, of course, I need to change Mexico City to MXC. All right. So, when you do league creation... Leafs? Maple Leafs? Oh, you're right. Boom. There we go. Thank you. When you do creation of your own leagues, you can alternatively name the sub-league and the division name at this point. All right? So we can call this the... we also should probably call the league something before we just say it's nothing. So we want to call this the Americas. That is a terrible name. We call it Tall. And the next one will be Round. No, I'm just kidding. I did some digging and looked that up. I was trying to add minor leagues to a historical replay. Oh, okay. That may add some different things to it that I'm not aware of. So, interesting. I don't know about that, actually. I'll have to look that up too, DA. I think we're pretty good. And then, let's see. Yeah, I'll have to get to that later, DA. I'm sorry. I'd love to get into that right now, but we are trying to kind of make a legal fast here. So I will, after the stream is done, I'll take a look at that. I'll see what I can find about historical leagues, adding minor leagues to a historical league that has just reserves, and we'll take a look at that myself, and I'll see what I can do about that. Any ideas about division names or the sub-league name, guys? Occasionally I'll do, like, corporate sponsor kind of thingies, where I'll do, like, the Nike League, and then it's, like, the Starbucks division. If it's, like, you know, something that fits the theme of the teams involved and the nations involved. I've liked doing that so far. Although we could call it the Babe Ruth League, just to be able to recognize some of the, I'll let you guys know what I find out. Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'll let you guys know what happened about that reserve roster option next week. Gotta put a mental note down for that now. Yeah, let's do the Babe Ruth League. Inside of the Americas League. And then for the division, we'll call this... Call it the North. Tim Hortons. No, if I'm doing any restaurants, I'm going to do In-N-Out Burger. Oh, gosh. Or better yet, it would probably be something like Arby's. Or it would be like... It would probably be Burger King or something would be like... Alright, fine. We'll do Tim Hortons division. Alright, it's the Tim Hortons division. Five Guys or go home. We do have Five Guys out here. They're pretty good. They're expensive, though. Holy cow. It's just, yeah, stop with the food, guys. Stop it. So, while you're also on this page, let me go ahead and at least talk about the last thing we should discuss, which is, of course, is the league level. So, different things that we'll talk about down the road. Okay, enough of the food, guys. I'm hungry, but you don't need to make me end the stream at 20 minutes in, okay? I will end this stream and go get food and come back. No, I'm just kidding. I'll be okay. I'll be okay. What you can do when you're making these leagues is you can actually choose what kind of league it is, whether that be a major league, a legitimate AAA, AA, single A, Class A, short season, rookie league, or you can even make them independent leagues, international leagues, a college league, or a high school league. Now, we'll talk about college and high school leagues at a different time because technically those are feeder leagues most of the time, and I highly advise you not to make a college league that's independent of being a feeder league, because then what the game's going to do is consider that college league to be the top tier of that save. All right? If you don't institute it as a college-created league, it will be a fully developed league. So it's going to take a college player, it's going to fully develop them as quickly as it possibly can. And if you're making a college system from scratch to make it a feeder system, it won't work the way you want it to. So you want to make sure that when you make a college or a high school, if you're making it for a feeder league, create it from the feeder league shortcut from the major league roster, from the major league league settings page, like we demonstrated on our feeder stream, and we'll talk about that later as well. Make it from there. Don't make it from here. If you're making a feeder, don't make it from here. All right? That's basically the answer. So we're doing a major league for this one right here. We could alternatively do an international league. However, independent leagues and international leagues are not considered high quality. All right? You can consider them high quality if they're the only league in your save. If you have no major leagues, then they're fine. But if you put in a low quality major league and a high quality international or independent league, players will still choose to play in a major league. All right? Got it? They will still choose to play in a major league. In fact, most players will choose to play in a AAA team versus an international or independent league. All right? So you can try to force them to play on an international league, but the better alternative is just to make a whole bunch of major leagues, especially if you need minor leagues involved for your majors. You know, just do it that way. It'll be easier. All right, so let's go ahead and make this league. So, again, we've talked a little bit about this kind of stuff. You want to probably hold an inaugural fantasy draft unless you want the teams to just have players added to them immediately, which is what I'm going to do for this one right here. They're just going to have players created right off the bat for them. We're not going to worry about that. We're going to look at custom schedules down the road, but right here we can at least set up the option for how many games per series, and if we've adjusted our number of games, we can adjust our minor league schedule lengths to reflect that information. So we can also change when the league starts playing. So if we didn't have seasons in this fictional world, we could technically have them start playing on like January 5th, or we could have them start playing on October 5th. Now, you do need to remember, though, that the games need to finish before the end of the calendar year, all right? So you don't want to have problems with that. Oh, my stream buffered for a second. That was a little weird. Okay, I think we're good, though. Anywho, so we're probably going to change this down to about 100 games. That's going to take away about 62, and that's a pretty good start. And that should be probably all we're going to change. No, let's change this to being 2 games per series. And we'll start there, all right? And then, of course, you can also change what type of era you want to play in. If you want to play in the dead ball era, you can go all the way back to 1920. So when you're setting up your stuff, if you want to do a historical playthrough, but with like fictional teams or even historical teams, you can set this up to have the settings changed to whatever era you'd like it to be, and it will import that era into your game. But for us, we're going to choose 2020. You can't carry over season between 2 years? No, you cannot, because the end of the calendar year is when OOTP like recycles everything. That is when the end of your like calendar year happens. So unfortunately, OOTP does have a calendar year like end result. It won't let you like push stuff too far towards the end of the season. From what I remember, at least, it won't let you do that. Maybe you actually, I think you can now. Because of the addition of the winter leagues, you might be able to. I haven't tested that since like OOTP 19. You might be right, Musha. I think you might actually be able to do that now. I'd have to double check that. Here's what we'll do. We'll test that with a custom winter league that will run over December and into January. How about that? We'll test that later. So let's have it start March 1st, and we'll do 100 games, 2 per series. We'll refresh the minor leagues to make sure they're good to go. And right now we'll do normal. That's about right. We're just going to do Major League players, though. I'm not going to have it do all the minor league players. That's probably going to be too many. We're going to do, all coaches, scouts, and managers. And if you wanted to change the face gens from color to black and white or sepia, you can do that as well. If you have like a historical or a older league, you can do that. Now, this is a critical one. Automatic league evolution is turned on by default. If you want to turn it off, turn it off. If you don't want the league changing the amount of roster sizes, teams involved in the league, the designated or the IL length, or some of the settings of your league. If you've gone in and done a whole bunch of work on this league to customize it, and you've painstakingly edited a bunch of stuff, and you find out the game is evolving and changing all those settings down the road, turn this off. If you want it to remain the exact same way it is when you create it, keep this turned off. All right? Perfect. So we'll go ahead and do that. And there's our league. So our league is already set up and ready to go. We can either play right now, or we can keep adding to it. Now, the problem is, if your plan is to make a whole bunch of these, it can become really cumbersome to be able to do any editing. Because when you go into advanced mode to do any major editing to your league, which you can do before you launch it, you have to select the league on the left side and start working on stuff. All right? But you have to click on each league to get to their individual page. So it can become really, really long, painful, very hard to do working situation to be able to go to each and every single league's option pages and their rules and their financials, which, speaking of which, we want the financials turned off for this league. For this example one, we're going to turn it off. And, there's just a whole bunch of stuff that you have to worry about. The last thing you want to have to worry about is whether or not you clicked on the right league on this long list of stuff. So let me make this an example test. So this is class 102. We'll call it class 102 for right now. Let's load in a template if I can. Let's see. Oh, I didn't save the other template yet. Okay, hold on. I won't worry about that right now then. I won't worry about that. Let's do like the default. And let's import also. Let's also import Science Saturday template. So when you start getting to the point where you have this many leagues involved, it can become quite cumbersome. There you go. Sorry, the stream had frozen on my end, and I wanted to make sure it was still working. All right. So yeah, when you have these many leagues and minor leagues and rookie systems and international leagues and independent leagues, it can become very, very hard to manage all this. All right. So we don't want to do that. That's a huge no-no. We don't want to have, all of this stuff that we have to then click through every single one of the leagues just to get to settings. Like you're like, okay, so I wanted to get to the Japanese league. Yeah, so there's them. That's all their settings. It just becomes really hard to have to scroll down all the way through the list to find the one you were looking for, which is, there it is, Australia. It can be really difficult to have everything on one setup, all right? And that's where the template system is perfect. So we'll go ahead and cancel out of here really fast, and we'll make it again because we saved the template. So if you find that it's too much, do one at a time. Import just the one that you want to work on. Because then what you can do is once this one is finished, or you've, not even importing it, but if you've made one from scratch and you've got all the settings done, everything is good to go, you've double-checked everything, like I forgot about this, that should be moderate, in my opinion it should be moderate. This probably should be something more like a ladder style, which would be really cool for this whole entire league. We wanted to enable promotions and relegations, but we'll only do that when there's two unaffiliated leagues in the game. We have to do that later. We could do some work on these awards. We could do work on the Hall of Fame, on the milestones, which I think are already set up and ready for us to go. Those are all correct. Spring training should probably be only 4 weeks since we're starting in March 1st and not in April 1st. Let me see what else we do. I will not allow rainouts. That is not okay. We play in the rain. All right, guys? We play in the rain. Say it with me. We play in... Okay, never mind. Oh, don't do that. All right, but when you've got it all saved and it's all good to go and you've got everything the way you want it to, we'll change active roster sizes to 27 just for fun. And let's see. Secondary rosters, I think we're only going to do... Well, 40 is probably about right. And then expanded roster sizes, however, I'm going to say 32. So you'll get 5 additional players. Postseason eligibility rules, that's just fine. International complex size. Can I disable that by any chance? Technically, I don't know why you'd be scouting international people when we legitimately are going to have international people. So I might put this down to like 15 just for now. Spring training roster size, let's just do 45. No, let's do 50. 50 is fine. 60 is too much, but 50 is probably about right. We could put on an actual roster player age, minimum and maximum if we wanted to. This would make sure that nobody who doesn't, get signed out of high school somehow makes it to a baseball team in the real world. He would have to go back to college. If you're finding that your players who are aged 16, 17 are suddenly landing in the rookie system, you may need to do an age restriction so they don't play in the rookie system. That's kind of like an off-limits kind of thing. If you wanted to change any of these other settings, you can do that. I'm not going to do that. We're going to make sure that the incomplete minor league rosters or ghost players are turned on, just in case we have any problems with that. We're going to enable player trade, but not the Rule 5 draft. Made that decision last second right about there. Good choice by myself. And, of course, by the time we get back to the amateur draft settings, which we will change down the road, we'll most likely have a feeder system for this entire thing. So don't worry about that. Although if you're going to make just one league, yes, maybe you need to think about adding a feeder system really fast. You can do that again by going to Actions, add a feeder league, and either do a full one or do one of the options that are listed right here. Bring that into your game, and then it will automatically have options down below about whether or not you want there to be any fictionally created players or if you want them all to come from the feeder system. So we talked about that in our feeder league stream. Go watch that if you have questions about that. We kind of breezed through a bunch of stuff there. We'll cover that again later down the road. So once you've gotten everything set up and you like the way it looks, the Babe Ruth League, Tim Hortons division for this America's League, also known as TAL, is there a way to get rid of free agency altogether? Regretfully, I don't think there's a way to get rid of technically free agency. What you can do is you can get rid of the financial system, which means that you don't have to sign someone to a financial contract. You just sign them immediately. All right? So that's the best way to do it. Then the free agency basically turns into a list of people that aren't playing on a team. That's basically what happens after that, is that basically you end up just basically grabbing people from this list of available players, and that's kind of the best way to get rid of free agency. Otherwise, I don't think reverse clause button. Is that a financial one? I normally just turn that off most of the time. Reverse clause era. Okay, yeah. That would work too. Yeah, that would work too. Yeah. Yeah, that would work. There you go. Yeah, inside of the financial systems, the reverse clause era rules would be able to do that as well. I've never done that before, personally. I always just turn off financials because there's a whole different ball game when it comes to stadium prices, stadium capacity for different tier major leagues as well. So there's a whole other world about, can a major league team that gets promoted make enough money to stay up in that promoted world? Or are they limited by their own financial burdens to be able to keep that position? We'll talk about that in a budgeting stream later, all right? We'll cover that in a later stream. But I normally just turn my financial systems off if I'm doing a fictional world, just to make it a lot easier on myself. But you can still put that on if you'd like to. That's just what I do. So yeah, when you've got everything done and everything's good to go, let me make sure that we're all set. I'm going to turn off these. That might actually get rid of the international roster. We'll see about that. And that's all good. We're going to have different creation rules. Yes, that got rid of the international roster size. Awesome. Because there's no international prospects that are going to be discovered now. So if you want to get rid of those international roster sizes, just go into players and turn these all to none, or turn some to none. Mostly it's just the international established free agents and the international scouting discoveries. You turn those off, that'll get rid of all that stuff for you. Because we're going to have feeder systems, and we're going to have a bunch of players created from scratch. So we don't want anybody just randomly popping up who is amazing, and it wrecks the whole entire balance of the league. So we don't want that. So once you're done and you're good to go, which of course we need to change this to, now it needs to be 8 and 14. 8 and 14 again, please. Thank you very much. That should be good. That should be fine. And that should be good. I wonder if I needed to turn that button off to get the teams with players in the minors. Potentially, yes. Actually, if that is checked on, that actually could be a limiter to your whole entire setup. Just depends on what your rules and your options and your financial tab are looking at right now. That may actually be the reason why, DA. Especially since you're doing a historical league, that's going to have a whole different set of tabs too in terms... Well, no, it's going to have one historical tab with a bunch of historical settings. So you may want to double check that to make sure you don't have something turned on that's preventing that from happening. So once we have that set up, we can save it as a template. So we'll probably save it as, I'm gonna see if I can resave it as class 102. It won't let me do it now. All right, hold on. We'll go back in and we'll delete it. So we go back to documents. Actually, that's not gonna be documents. That's actually going to be my C drive, which is almost full. I've got a lot of stuff on this computer. It has served me well, but I am in need of a new one. But isn't that always the case, guys? Aren't we always in need of a new computer? 21, data, and then we need to go to, this would be templates. No, not templates. That's world templates, right? World templates, yeah. Class 102. Boom. Oh, it's open right now. Duh. I'm silly, because I'm using it right now. So let's save this as, in fact, we should save this as actually class 102. This is America. So this is TAL, the America League. There we go. That's correct. That's correct. All right. So we've made all our changes. And some of the things you're going to see on this page are not that important. We didn't edit any of our settings, but that will be something we'll edit last. So we need to keep going with other leagues. Now, if you wanted to add a new league to here, you can do it right from here, and you can add another league creation wizard, fictional league, and do all that work again. The problem is that if you do that, it's going to add it to the list down below. My apologies, I got out of it for a second there. But it would add it to that list, and if you keep building and building and building and building, it's going to become really difficult to work through. So, I'm going to offer you guys an alternative way to being able to do that. Let's make another league from scratch, make it hand-built, and then save it as a template again, and then just merge the two templates together. Sound good? I like it too. Alright, so this is our idea. We're going to double the size of the league, make it the exact same region. So this is going to be the demoted, the lower, 3 different ways to say it, but this is going to be the lower quality United States, Canada, Mexico League. So this is going to be the Americas Sub-League. Because we have to make them feel a little bit bad about the fact that they're actually in the tassel. Yeah. Yeah. But they'll still be a major league, alright? We can still make them a major league, and this is for how to do promotions and relegations, by the way. So we need to have the entire left side needs to be USA. So this is where you're going to have to start doing a little bit of handwork to make sure it goes correctly, because as you can see, it's not exactly, I don't want Puerto Rico, sorry about that. It's not exactly fitting correctly. But if we make some changes, we can make it happen. So, someone had recommended there be an actual Taco Bell division, which that's a huge no-no. The Mexicans do not like that. But we can name these divisions and sub-leagues now after their nations, since we actually have divisions and organization. So, Sub-League 1. This is all of the USA teams. I need class. This is going to be class involvement time, folks. We have passed the 1 hour mark, but we're still going strong, so let's keep going. I need class involvement. I'll be picking on people who are raising their hands. We already did the Tim Hortons League, unfortunately, for our other major league. So the promoted league already has Tim Horton, unfortunately. There's a hand raised. I need a name for the sub-league that is just America. And I need a sub-league for Canada and Mexico combined. I also need division names for both of the America divisions, or for both of the USA divisions, 1 Canadian division name, and 1 Mexico division name. And let's try to keep it as, clean as possible in the I know it's not going to be that great, but, hey, we can still do stuff. Like, for example, let me think. The Hank Aaron League for the Americas, that's perfect. So this is the Hank Aaron League, also known as the Hall, which I think I'll just leave it as Hank Aaron League, to be honest. That's just fine. No abbreviations required for that one. So I do need 2 division names. The Fernando Valenzuela League. Was he technically part of both of those, by any chance? I see hands raised in the chat. Go for it. Spit them out. Let me hear them. I want to hear you guys' suggestions. The Valenzuela, isn't Fernando, wasn't he Mexican? I would actually put him in the Valenzuela. I hope I spell this correctly. There we go. Yeah, the Valenzuela division. That's perfect. Even better. Yes. Valenzuela. The Valenzuela division will be for Mexico. Do we have a Canadian by any chance besides Michael Saunders? Anybody who was the Wayne Gretzky? We could do the Wayne Gretzky division. We could call it the Gretzky division. Votto. No, it has to be Votto. It has to be Votto. I'm sorry. I would do Gretzky, but it's got to be Votto. Like, he's literally carrying the Reds right now in the dream bracket. It has to be the Votto division. Fergie Jenkins was Canadian. Okay, I could do that. Yeah, I think Votto's a good option. I think the Votto division is pretty good. I think that's pretty good. I still need one more. I need 2 division names for America. For the 2 USA divisions, I need 2 USA division names. This could be something like the Pujols division. I like that. What other ones can you do? We also still need a sub-league name for Sub-League 2, which is Canada and Mexico. Walmart and McDonald's? That's I hope I don't get in trouble for this. I hope I don't get in trouble for this. So that's just too American. Oh, the Bald Eagle League is better. Yeah, let's do that. The USA names are not players. It's gonna be food and American pride. That's what's gonna be the left side. And then the Mexican League. That sounds about right. They'll joint up with that name. I think that'll be pretty good. That's a sponsorship deal if I ever saw one. Again, this is just for fun, guys. We're not actually sponsored by anybody. Nothing's going to actually happen about this. And, of course, I hit the wrong button. Of course. I thought it would give me the ability to just simply change the city names and not the actual nations. Hold on. Gotta switch those all back. So this is where you're going to have to do a little bit of work, though. All right? So as you can see, we have to go now into this and get rid of some stuff. I need to get rid of all of these. There we go. All right. I also need to get some city names. Let's see. What? No. No. Just no. Why would we do that? Let me see. So this is where you're also going to need to have an idea of what cities you want to use. Because, unfortunately, if you randomize the cities, it's going to randomize the nations. And you can't lock the nations down and just change the cities. I thought you could, but you cannot. So we need to come up with some more city names. So we already have Phoenix. Houston? Is Houston in the original league? I can't remember now, unfortunately. Why is the relegation league 5 times the size of the main league? Because they could be the exact same size, Musha. You can make them technically any size you want. It would be a nice feature to have, to be able to lock the nations in and then just change the city with the nation remaining the same. And in fact, there might be a way to be able to do that, and I just can't remember how to be able to do that off the top of my head right now. But I know you can do that for the team nicknames. You can just do the team nicknames, and it won't change the nations involved. But when I randomized the cities right now, it went ahead and changed all the nations as well to reflect the change in the cities. So Houston's already in there. Setting up leagues again and again. Oh, yeah, you can spend hours doing league creation stuff. So, yeah, you got to be careful of how much time you spend doing that. And especially in regards to the size. For the size, we're thinking mostly about Topeka, Canada. Is that correct? Is that correct, SYT? That's a Canadian city, right? When it comes to the size, what I traditionally like to do is have the promotion division, the one that's on top, be smaller. So it's not as... is in Kansas. Oh, shows how much I was paying attention in geography class for America. Topeka, Kansas. Okay. So we probably should not do the Topeka Eskimos, or the Topeka Beach Bums, or the Topeka Friars, because I don't think either of those exactly sound like Topeka. Osprey in Brooklyn. Didn't we already have a Brooklyn team? Didn't we have New York and Brooklyn in our last one too? Didn't we also have Guadalajara already as well? Gosh. I think the game's giving us a whole bunch of return cities here. Oh, that's right, because we're doing fun from scratch. If you make the Topeka Cornfields, let's do that. If that is one of the advantages about creating another league while you have the other one already established, the game will check off the cities it already has used. So that is the one advantage of being able to not use the template and then import template feature, is that you won't have to rename a whole bunch of stuff because it actually will only pick the Boise Friars. That works, I'll take that. Let's do the Seattle Osprey. Seattle. There we go. Seattle's very good for that one right there. The Dallas Thundercats sounds pretty good. The Philadelphia Broncos, I don't think that's exactly Philadelphia style. Let's put Philadelphia someplace else. Let's put Philadelphia down here. Now I gotta remember how to spell Philadelphia. The Long Island, Long Beach Beach Bums. Actually, yes. Yeah, let's do that. Now I gotta remember how to spell Philadelphia. Okay, I was spelling it right. Philadelphia. I'm just gonna copy and paste, though I'm not gonna even trust myself. There we go. We'll do the Philadelphia. Is that, that's Colonials. Colonels. Colonels? Colonels or Colonels? No, Colonels is Colonials is the other one I'm thinking of. Good grief, I'm not acting very smart today, guys. Your teacher is having some struggles. And then we wanted to do the Topeka Cornfields. So we'll do Long Beach, San Antonio, Philadelphia, and Topeka. Boise, Seattle, Dallas, and then... Do we want to do the Denver Broncos? I'm just kidding. Let's think about a different nickname for that. We have one team name left. Boise, my apologies. Yes, I was thinking Denver Broncos, but then that's copyrighted, so I can't do that. The Fort Collins Broncos would be kind of cool. It's a little bit close, but it's okay. I will take that. And then Topeka will be top. You're right, Boulder is better. I'd probably go with Boulder. The Orlando Gators. Ooh, that's a cool one. The Boulder Broncos. I like that. You're right. Yeah, I like having team names that have either the same syllables or they are the same first letter, so there's a rolling off of the tongue effect. If it doesn't come out well, you're never going to be able to say it correctly while you're streaming or while you're playing it. Like the San Antonio Blue Wings. That's hard enough as it is. The Long Beach Beach Bums, that's really hard to say, but it's funny, so we'll keep it. The Philadelphia Colonels, that's pretty cool. They'll have a great logo. The Topeka Cornfields, not exactly on par, but it's okay. Boulder Broncos, great name right there. It rolls off the tongue, very easy to say, very cool name. So when you're making your teams and your city names, if you can try to do stuff, Tampa Bay Devil Rays, yes. But it's syllabalized. It has 3 and 3, so you can say it at the same pace. You don't have to pause. You don't have to, end your sentence early. Calgary Governors. That's the Canadian team we have so far. It sounds good because it actually has the same pacing and you can say it all at the same speed. You got something like Philadelphia Colonels. Way too much for Philadelphia. Saskatchewan Speed Devils. The names are way too long. If you're going to do something like Philadelphia, you'll want a really short team name. There's a reason why a lot of people call the Philadelphia Phillies just the Phillies, okay? They're called the Phils. They're called the Phillies. They're never called the Philadelphia Phillies for good reason, okay? Rolling off the tongue, the ease of how you say it is important, especially if you're going to be telling somebody about your league and, oh, yes, the Philadelphia Colonels. Hoof. I think I'm going to end the sentence right there because that's a mouthful as it is. Just know that they did something nice, all right? Now, the Boulder Broncos, man, they went 7-1 for like the first, 9 or 8 games of the season. It rolls off. It's so much easier to say. So this is just a quick little tutorial on team naming. Try to keep the syllables the same on both sides. Team name, team nickname. And if you can't, make them have the same first letter. Saskatchewan Sassafras. That's pretty cool. I like that one. Now, is that a Canadian? Saskatchewan. Let's see. I don't remember. That is, yeah. Saskatchewan, Canada. No. Hold on. Saskatchewan. How did I misspell that? Sketch. There we go. Yeah, it's a Canadian province, technically. Unfortunately, I don't know if I can do that because it's a province in Western Canada, but we could call it that. What's the largest city? What's the largest city in that place? Is that Regina? Or is that going to be Saskatoon? Saskatoon is the largest city in that place. Okay. The only issue with that site is that I'm not exactly partial to the team name of Cougars. Not exactly partial to that name. So we will pick Saskatoon. No, we'll do Saskatchewan. I hope I'm saying that right. I've heard it pronounced a couple times, and I've never understood exactly how to pronounce it professionally. Saskatoon is a better name anyways. That's what I'm thinking, is that because of the fact that it's a province, Saskatoon, and then that was the Sassafras. We'll call them the Sass. Regina. Okay. Oh, Regina. Okay. Again, that's where the American to Canadian different pronunciations are that's just all over the place, unfortunately. My apologies about that to all of our Canadian listeners who are just like, oh gosh, he's mispronouncing all of them. For me, a lot of stuff is hard letters, hard sounding words. So a lot of stuff for me is, if it doesn't sound rough and tough, it's not a name. The Rowdy Roddy Piper? Oh, a baseball player. Oh, cool. Well, then we actually have some history for Saskatoon. You liked the hot rod? Let me see then. What was the hot rod one? Now you guys are referencing stuff that I don't remember if I deleted or if I took out. Piper was a wrestler, not a baseball player. Oh, okay. Pro wrestler. Hot Rod was his nickname. I see. See, that went right over my head because I don't do professional wrestling or any of that kind of stuff, unfortunately. Oh, he wore a kilt. Okay, well then he's my favorite wrestler now. He's my favorite wrestler now. Anyone who wears a kilt gets like 5 man points in my world. No, I'm just kidding. But they do get mad respects from me. Okay, what are we missing? We're missing we're missing 2 more Canadian cities. I believe we already have Toronto and Montreal in our other, or was it Quebec? Gosh darn it, I should have looked it up now. I should have written down what we had already. but I still need Edmonton, I think. Vancouver would be a good one. Was it Vancouver we had in our first league? We'll change them if we have to, but I think Vancouver is a good one for us to use. The Vancouver, British Columbia, BC team. That's British Columbia, right? The Vancouver Vikings. There you guys go. Now you're getting into it. I don't remember if we had Montreal in our first one. So we have options for BC. We have options for Ottawa. Ottawa's a good one too. You guys don't understand how many times I've looked up cities all over the nations around the world to make sure that I get the correct spelling. Vancouver is in BC. Oh, okay. Well, then Vancouver is going to be easier than doing British Columbia. I thought British Columbia was another province. I thought it was another province altogether. Okay, so that's good. Yeah, let's try that again. So I think Ottawa is a great name at that point. I think Toronto and Montreal were the first two that we picked up in the first attempt. Calgary wouldn't be too bad in Alberta. We could also do, of course, Edmonton in Alberta. That wouldn't be bad either. But Ottawa wouldn't be too bad. We're going to pick up Vancouver. Oh, Scarborough would have been cool. That would have been a cool name. I wonder if... No, we've got Calgary already. I'm sorry. We already have Calgary. So we already got that one. Oh, I like Scarborough. And we also have Quebec. I didn't even remember about that one. So there's a lot of good Canadian cities we could pick from at this point, guys. Let me see. Niagara? Niagara's not one of the top 12 cities in Canada, but I think if we did Niagara, it would actually probably be an American city. Quebec would be pretty good. I think Quebec's probably what I'm going to be leaning towards. There's also London near Toronto, but if we have an English league, an England league, we're going to have London as one of their main cities. So I don't think we're going to be doing London, Canada. We could do Hamilton. I think there's another Hamilton city, again, in England that we might be picking instead. But I think Quebec City might be a good one. The Quebec Queens? Or would we think about doing something else? Again, we also need to remember that we kind of need to have a team name that can go along with the actual city name. The Quakers. There we go. Quackers for the Quakers. All right, so we'll do Q, and we'll do Van. All right, now we're going to test everybody's knowledge. We need to make one more, and I think Guadalajara has already been picked up in our other save. We need two Mexico cities, or Mexican cities, to be able to pick up a couple more. And we picked up, in our first attempt, we had Mexico City and Guadalajara. So we can't pick either of those. Tijuana is a great one. We could do the Tijuana, oh gosh, what is their drink? Darn, I should know this. Alcoholic beverage. I should know this. I've bought it before. Tequila. We called them the Tijuana tequilas. Yeah, we can call them the tequilas, if people like that. Tijuana. And then we need a team called the Aztecs in Mexico, though. We could do that as a nod. We could do Acapulco. Acapulco. Yeah, we could do that city. That's a pretty big city. Let's see. If we did that, that would probably work. The Anacondas? That's what I'm... Acapulco. That's 4 anaconda. That is 4. You could. That would be the same syllabalization. Acapulco anacondas. That's a long name though. I think the Acapulco Aztecs sounds a little bit better. We already have Guadalajara in the top tier league. We have Mexico City and Guadalajara, unfortunately. So we've got about another 30 minutes until we'll round out today's stream. The Cancun Crushers. There you guys go. Yeah. So let's see. Loreto is in South Baja. The Leon Rays, R-E-Y-S. The Leon Lions. Interesting. I like these guys. I like your guys' submissions. We're starting to get good. Oh, yes. There you go. Let me think. Let's see. So, are we set on... Are we set on Tijuana as a city name, guys? Or do we want to get rid of that one, scrap it off, and do a different one? La Paz wouldn't be bad. I could do La Paz. I haven't seen Juarez. Or Juarez? Is it Juarez? Juarez? I don't know if that's a good one to be picking at this point, so let me get rid of... let's get rid of that one at this point. Tijuana is too close to Juarez. Okay, so let's get rid of... If we're going to do any of them, we're going to do Tijuana, because that's the one that most American viewers are going to know. The Cancun Crushers are much better, so let's do that one. Kind of sounds like Can Crushers, but that's okay. All right. Right across the border from El Paso. Oh, okay. So we wouldn't be able to do El Paso and Ciudad Juarez unless we had them be rivals, which would be kind of cool. But it's not likely that they would actually spar in the game like they would in real life. So I don't think that would be as big of a thing for us. So I think we keep Tijuana at that point. Actually, you know what? No. Let's go with the... let's go with Juarez. If they're right across the border from El Paso, we might change the San Antonio Blue Wings to the El Paso something. So you guys will get one more American name to go through, and we will instead choose... And then do we want to have Ciudad Juarez? Oh, man, like, I almost want to pick, like, the Cicadas for that team. I don't know why that came up to my mind, but that's what I'm thinking. El Paso. Juarez should have the same team nickname as well. Oh, that would be cool. We could call them both the Twins. Then they would actually be twins. They would have different logos, but they'd both be called the Twins at that point. I've called a team the Cartel before. That was a bad idea. I will not do that again. El Paso Express. Yeah, unfortunately, I won't do the Cartel anymore. That was a personal league. I would never do that live. I would never do that in a situation like this. Or it could be the White Sox, Red Sox. Ooh, that's a good idea as well. Think about it, guys. What do you want? If we had two team names that are very much the same, or at least the closest we could get to being exactly the same, do you guys like the Twins idea? We could also again do White Sox, Red Sox. We could do you know, I don't want to do red shirts versus like white shirts. That can get into some really interesting ideas, and I don't like that idea. The Reds versus the Blues. The problem would be if it was like the Reds versus the Whites, or what? No, what was the Russian Civil War about? That was the Reds versus the. Technically, it was the Reds versus the Commonwealth, I believe, at that point. Reds versus Blues wouldn't be bad. That would be okay. I'd have to kind of get a good logo around for them. Yeah, that was Reds versus Whites. Okay, that was Reds versus Whites. Oh, I was correct. Good. I always remembered it being the red blood versus white snow. That's how I always thought about that. And Red versus Blue is a great show as well. So, you know, hey, that's a pretty good one too. So, I guess the question comes down to, do we do Twins or do we do Red versus Blue? Either or would be amazing. We could probably get a Twins logo where we get actual fighting twins, and then I could have one half go to one team and the other half go to the other team. so I could actually do some really cool Photoshop work to make that look really cool. Let's see, Fighting Twins logo. This is gonna make my Google search be like really questioning my choice of searches. Why are you searching up Fighting Twins? Like, are you looking to like do wrestling or extreme boxing? Like what did you find your twin by accident? Or Step Brothers? Ooh, the Step Brothers would be cool too. You could do red versus greens in terms of the Chili Peppers, yeah. Although at that point we'd have to have the Chili Peppers play the opening day national anthem every single time. I don't think we'd get anyone to go watch that game now. I think the Twins are going to be our approach for this one. And we can change it down the road if we want to. But I think Twins are going to be what we're going to go for right now. I'll look for a really cool logo to be able to put down for those guys. Okay, I still need... Is this creation actually going to be played in? Yes, it is, Cam. We are going to create all of this, troubleshoot it all, tutorialize it all, and then at the end of this whole entire league creation class, we're going to let you guys get either a quick start or the actual league files to play in this league. So all your guys' hard work is going to be resulted in a reward. You guys are going to be able to play this. Maybe we'll even put your guys' own players into this. That would be kind of cool. So, yes, if you guys want to become invested in this league, please do. I would love to get this into your hands when this is all said and done. Could do Twin Peaks, as there are mountains there. Ooh. Zipopan Zips. I said that really weird, and I don't know why. Let me check and see how big of a city Zapopan is. Zipopan... Jalisco, Mexico. It is not a safe city to travel in. Oh. Oh, okay. I need one city for Mexico. Give me your guys's... Although it was a pretty big city. It's over 1 million people there. Okay. Could do that. Perfect for baseball, then. Never played a round of customizing? Oh, you gotta customize. Come on. You gotta customize. If you're not gonna customize your own league, you've never played real OOTP. I'm sorry, but if you've never actually gone in and... oh, that's right. We're doing the Acapulco Aztecs. That's right. Acapulco. The Aztecs. That's right. That's right. And I can get a really cool Aztecs logo. There are a couple different Aztec logos to pick from. There's one which is a spear and a shield with an A on it. I think we might go with that one. So that's pretty cool too. All right, so I think we're all set here, guys. We didn't pick Mexico City because it's already in the major league that will be the promotion league. So the one that gets you into the big leagues is going to be above this one. So we already have Mexico City and Guadalajara in that league. Hence the reason why you don't see stuff like Los Angeles or New York or Phoenix or we have Dallas here, but I think we have Houston also for America in the bigger league, which is also why you don't see Montreal or Toronto in Canada. So, is the league level stay major league? Yes, we will keep it as a major league level. What we're going to do is once we've added them together and we do promotions, relegations, we're going to go back into the league structure and we're going to change the league reputation. And that's what's going to dictate which is the top league and which one is the bottom league and which one people go to. Will be the league reputation level. We'll probably make the top one a level 10, and we'll make this one probably like a level 8. And that will be perfect for us to be able to, excuse me, I need some water. To be able to do that correctly and not have any problems with the two different major league levels. All right, I think we're all set. We've got Boise Friars, the Seattle Osprey, the Boulder Broncos, the Dallas Thundercats, which I actually kind of like that name. It sounds too much like basketball cheerleaders, what they would call themselves, or even a football cheerleading squad, but that's okay. I think we'll be just fine. The Long Beach Beach Bums, The El Paso Twins, which coincide with the Ciudad Juarez Twins. They're going to have a rivalry of the decade right there. Philadelphia Colonels, the Topeka Cornfields. The abbreviation? Oh, you're right. Thank you. Acapulco. We're going to have Calgary Governors, the Saskatoon Sassafras, also known as the SAS for short. We're going to call them the SAS for the rest of our entire lives here. The Vancouver Vikings, which is a great name, and the Quebec Quakers. Oh, you guys have done a great job. I love all these names. I love them all. Cancun Crushers, the Ciudad Juarez Twins, of course, the Monterey Copper Kings. We never touched them, did we? Monterey Copper Kings. That's not bad. I could actually go with that. That's not bad. And then you have, of course, the Acapulco Aztecs. Don't forget to change the divisions. Oh, whoops. Yes, the divisions. My bad. Not a corporate sponsor. Also not a corporate sponsor. And then we wanted to do the Vado division. And then we had the Valenzuela. I probably spelled that all wrong. Valenzuela. No, I did. Nice. Spelled it right. Awesome. They're spelled differently. You're good. Yeah. They had gotten back to their original north-south situations because we randomized the cities. So it reset all the division names. There we go. So we have the Walmart division and the McDonald's division. Again, not corporate sponsors, just for fun. And then the Vado division and the Valenzuela division. Awesome. You guys have done great job. Well done, class. Well done. Well done. Is it a problem that both of the divisions will be considered VD? There's no division abbreviations. The only abbreviations would call in would most likely be the sub-league abbreviation. Divisions, I believe, are fully listed. So there shouldn't be any problems with that. And if there are, you can always change it down the road. We could change Vado back to who were we gonna have instead of Vado? It was gonna be either Jenkins or it was gonna be somebody else. So you can change them back down the road as well. So I think we're good. I'm gonna double check the abbreviations of the teams really fast. Boise, Seattle. Boulder did not get changed. That should be BOU, Boulder. I'm just gonna call it BO, not body odor. Okay, BOL, Boulder. There. And then we'll do Dallas, Long Beach, El Paso, Philadelphia, Topeka, Calgary, Saskatoon, Vancouver, Quebec, Cancun, CJ for Ciudad Juarez, Monterey, and Acapulco. Awesome. You guys did a great job. All right. The Americas Sub-League is done. Let's get into some of the better stuff. So, again, 100 games. We're going to start them at the same time. March 1st, 2 games. No inaugural fantasy draft. Use the 2020 settings. It's going to mirror and reflect our other one that we already made. No evolution, please. Just the Major League players and normal. Awesome. All right. So now we can go into the advanced mode. Turn off the financials, because, again, I don't like putting financials when you have promotions and relegations. Other leagues can do it, but this one's not going to be doing it. We have 20 minutes left in our stream, guys, or 20 minutes left in our class until the bell will ring, and we'll skedaddle and head our different ways. So we need to take off some stuff to make sure it's the exact same settings. None. And then that's good. This needs to be 4. This needs to be medium or moderate, technically. I love the ability to do the ladder style, where the bottom 2 teams have to fight their way to get to the top. That gives them a good chance to be able to come back instead of whatever happens at that point. Although, to be honest, this one is not a good ladder style situation. A modified double elimination for this one would be much better, and it would be potentially a lot faster. So let's do that one, and we may end up doing a custom playoff for this one, just because we can, which would be kind of cool. All right, financials are good. Rules are good. I believe we had this set to be 27, and then the expanded roster size was 30, I think. I'll have to double check that. In fact, we can check that in a second here. Foreign players are fine. 60, I think we put that down to 50. Pitches and rules correct. We had player trades turned on, but no Rule 5 draft. We had what else? We had option leagues, but we allowed incomplete minor league rosters. We had the amateur draft turned on right now. We'll worry about that later. 32? Did I have 32 for the expanded rosters? Yeah, that's right. It was 32. 5 players. You're right. Thank you. That was 32. I think that looks good. That should be just fine. Trading with other major leagues is turned on. Trading of recently drafted players next season. We may allow draft pick trading down the road. We'll think about it. That is easily abusable, though. I am not a huge fan of turning that on if I can help it. Plus, your draft picks are really important in this. They're really important in this. Okay, I think those look all good. I think this league is all set to be considered the Talls. The Talls League, or Tassel, sorry, the American Sub-League. So let's go ahead and save this as another template. So this is Class 102. This is Tassel. Awesome. So when we do that, let's go ahead and import back in the American League, or the Americas League, my apologies. Now, if we go back into, there it is, League. So now you can see there's a League Reputation option. And what we're basically going to do is we're going to keep the Americas League at 10. We're going to change the Americas Sub-League to 8. And this means that if you're a Mike Trout kind of player, you're going to choose the Americas League over the Americas Sub-League. You might come play here if nobody in the Americas League wants you. But at 8, it's not as respected. It's not as reputationally highest in the prestige area. So people will not want to come here if they can go to the Americas League. All right? So that gives you some reason to want to get promoted to the Americas League. So let's go ahead, and I think I can set up the promotions and relegations now. Let's see if I can do that. There it is. So now that we have 2 major leagues, we can enable the promotion and relegation of teams, which means teams that come from the Americas Sub-League get promoted to the Americas Leagues. There is no relegation from the Americas Sub-League. So basically, we're going to send 2 teams. Oops, nope, turn that back on. 2 teams from each, one per sub-league. So each of the 2 different sub-leagues, there will be 1 American team and potentially 1 Canadian, or Mexican team that will get promoted. So the best record will get promoted to the Americas League. And that will hopefully keep stuff balanced. We'll see. I don't know. We might have an entire couple of seasons where it's just United States teams. But I'm hoping that the Mexican teams and the Canadian teams will be able to manage it just well. They have technically the equally proportioned teams across the board, so they have just as much of a chance to keep those 2 Mexican and 2 Canadian teams involved in the top-tier league. All right? That's the whole entire idea. Now, we need to go back to the Americas League and also enable promotions and relegations. We need to relegate 2 teams. We need to relegate 2 teams in total to the Americas Sub-League. And this is where it's going to get a little bit weird. It may shuffle around the divisions and stuff, which at that point, it wouldn't be the end of the world. You can, in order to make sure that it goes correctly, you can manually select the teams to be moved and also perform the promotions and relegations manually if you'd like to. So if you want to ensure that the Mexican teams go back to the Mexican division and the Canadian teams go back to the Canadian division and the American teams go back and forth, you can do that. However, if you have a situation in which both of the Canadian teams get relegated and only 1 Canadian team gets promoted, we would have to mix some stuff up anyway. So this is where if you have different types of nations and you want to keep them separated, not exactly the easiest thing in the world to do. So we are going to have to kind of do some nitpickiness about this, although the option would be to promote 3 teams, 1 from each division, or 4 teams, 1 from each division, to the Americas League, and then hope and pray that we demote the same amount of teams as we're promoting with the nations involved. But that's another whole entire big if situation. But that's how you turn on the promotions and relegations. You need to make sure that you don't promote above the team, above the league that is the topmost league. Don't relegate below the league that is the lowest level league. All right? You don't want to do that. All right, 15 minutes left. Let's talk about homework. I know you guys hate me saying that. And we're not going to have any homework, but stuff to take home from this class and from stuff you need to learn. So, we talked about how to be able to make leagues. We went ahead and did a couple demonstrations. We talked about the cities involved, kind of how to do correct naming a little bit. We may go into some of the logo stuff. Turn on your autosave. Good point. Your autosave is going to be when you start the game. You're going to be able to turn on your autosave to happen every so often. I think it's down here. Yeah, here it is. Always turn this autosave on. Don't turn it off. I mean, you can't turn it off, but turn it on to like once a month or once a week. If you can stomach having to do your autosave once a month, it will save you so much time. So much time in being able to recover a league that potentially gets ruined or has corruption issues. Musha has a question. Could you use the Nippon League and the MLB and do the same relegation and promotion? Yes, you can. Yes. Technically, as long as it is, I believe, as long as it's not a minor league, even if it's like an independent league, I think you can still do promotions and relegations with that independent league. In fact, let's test that really fast in the 15 minutes we have left. So let's go ahead and save this as a template. So this is class 102. We're going to make a bunch of these. So this is the North American template. Boom. And there we have one whole entire region of baseball. Canada, Mexico, and the United States all set and ready to go. We're going to do this for every single other region of the world. We're going to pick and choose who we want to play with, technically. So we're going to have a Caribbean region. We're going to have a South American region. We're going to have maybe a minor Africa/South Asia region. Maybe we'll conglomerate all those together. I'm expecting to have an Oceania region. I'm expecting to have an Asian region. We're expected to do 1 or 2 European regions. So we're going to have a whole lot of stuff for this. But let's go ahead and do that one little question. You wanted to know if we added... so if we go back to the league creation wizard, let's create a world. If we were able to go and say add the Nippon Professional Baseball League. So let's add both of those in real fast. So if you wanted to build stuff alongside real-world baseball, you can absolutely do that as well, as you can see from what we're about to do right now. Take off the automatic evolution, go into advanced mode, and as you can see, we've added all of Major League Baseball, all of its rookie systems, and the International Nippon Baseball League, and all of its minor leagues as well. Now, the question's going to be, can it do promotions and relegations? And the answer is yes. Yes, you absolutely can. If you want teams going from Nippon straight to the Major League Baseball world, you can do that. So if you want to dump the Marlins and the... who would that be? The Marlins and would that be the Tigers? 2019 standings. Who was the worst teams in baseball last year for MLB? I'm glad that ESPN knows I'm looking for Major League Baseball standings and not just football standings. Something like that. Yeah, so it'd be the Tigers. If you want to drop the Orioles, the Marlins, the Tigers, and the Kansas City Royals into the Nippon League and bring up 4 of the Nippon League teams, you absolutely can. You can do that. You can set it up so that way the Nippon League promotes to Major League. You can do only 3. Oh, is that because of the amount of teams? Ah, yeah. So you have to make sure that the Nippon League has enough teams to be able to promote and relegate. You can't do too many at a time. So 2. 2 would be the option for this one at this point, and that's just because of the amount of teams that are actually involved in this system. So I would do 2, probably in total, and then you would go to the Major League Baseball. You would have it do promotions and relegations, and you would relegate to the Nippon Baseball League, and you'd do 2. See, baseball can do upwards of 7 because there's so many teams involved in the league. It can do 7 at a time, but I would only probably do 2. And that would just be 2 in total. I would pick the 2 worst teams and then you can cycle them through. Absolutely. Suddenly, you've got different world powers involved in being able to play baseball across the world. So that can lead to some really cool stuff when you have this many leagues and teams and different types of cultures and styles of baseball. Because as you'll notice, the players are going to have different, if I can find that, here they are. So the statistics are going to be a little bit different. The league totals are going to be a little bit different. So the way that the teams play are going to be different in each league. So even though the players are still the same, they're still the 1.000 creation modifiers. So they're going to be the same value. There's going to be different styles of play comparatively from, the Nippon League, which is, a .824 triples. There's a little bit of influx in hitting, a lot of hit by pitches, versus, say, Major League... that was Major League Baseball, my bad. Versus the Nippon League version of stuff, which is a little bit lower on the triples, a little bit higher on the hits, more doubles, way less hit by pitches, more strikeouts, a lot more walks, and their players so the players in the Nippon League, you may need to fix this, because unfortunately they're going to be a little bit worse at avoiding Ks. But that's from what we actually understand about these leagues. See, OOTP has already gone through, looked at any professional baseball league that we have incorporated into our database. We know exactly what we think their player creation abilities are. And we've effectively changed those to reflect that information. So if you have, if you go to the Caribbean, if you go to any of, the Puerto Rico leagues, the batting power on those players is much better than 0.900, or I would just assume that would be the case, because they have a lot of good bat speed and a lot of power out of those kids. Their pitchers could be pretty good. So you can absolutely change these to have one league be all about contact and another one be all about power, or all about pitching versus all about hitting. You could have an entire nation that makes just good power hitters. So you can absolutely do that. Couldn't you just make both leagues even? Absolutely you can. Yeah, if you want them both to be the exact same type of players that are created, you can absolutely do that. Oh, yes. Yes. That's if you wanted everyone to be the same. Basically, if you wanted every single player to have the same chance of being a Babe Ruth, whether or not they come from Japan, Scotland, Australia, or America, New York, then you can change these numbers to be 1.000 across the board, or whatever the default is, and that will make sure that everybody gets the same level playing field to start with. That will make sure that even if it's considered a sub-professional league, their players are still as good as a Major League Baseball could be. All right. I think that'll do it for today, guys. We've had an hour and 55 minutes of league creation. This was actually a lot more fun than I expected it to. I got to come into these streams with, low expectations, because that helps me a lot more when we actually get a lot of stuff done. It's a lot of fun. If you guys have any questions at all, I'll open the floor for class questions. If you've got anything on your mind, if you looked at anything we've done, if you have any questions about that, I'll go ahead and cancel out of here for right now. Go back in, import that template one more time so you guys can take a look at what we did. And if you guys have any questions at all, let me know right now before we end this stream. Oh, there is going to be at least a 103, 104, and probably a 105 class, Magus. We have at least 5 classes for the introduction to league creation, and then we have the advanced league creation, which is the 200 series. So we'll have 201, 202, 203. It's going to be a full-on legitimate educational system, guys. We have a lot of stuff to be able to go through. So today, again, recapping what we did today while I see if we have any questions at all. Thank you guys so much for the support about that. I've tried to do the best I can, but sometimes the organization isn't quite as much as I would expect it to be. But so today's class, again, just so anyone can recap, take home, do some homework. We made 2 different major leagues. We had them do promotions and relegations, and we kind of set up how best to handle doing regions as well for those creations. So I hope you guys had a fun time being able to do this. Your homework, before you leave, before the bell rings and you guys all skedaddle, your homework, make one. Make one of these, all right? It doesn't have to be very advanced. You don't have to make a massive 500-team league like I've done. but I'd like to see you guys try to make a league from scratch of your own. At least make the teams. Name the teams, love your team creations, get creative, tell me what you can do, and then shoot me messages on Discord or Twitter and let me know what you guys created. I want to see what you guys can do, and then I can follow along with your guys' creations, see how good they look, see how awful they look, see how bad you guys are doing, and then I can either validate myself as a teacher or completely ruin my reputation as a teacher, and that would be a lot of fun to be able to see. Otherwise, guys, that's your homework. Go have fun for the rest of the day. You guys are free to have recess. Have some fun, guys. Thank you so much for playing OOTP, and I will see you all next Saturday for class 103. Have a great rest of your guys' evenings.